Welcome to the deep dive. Ever wonder why you pick the same lunch every Tuesday? Or why that big career decision just felt so right, even when maybe others saw flaws? Today, we're digging into the invisible architects behind our decisions. Those subtle forces shaping pretty much everything we do. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is this idea of choice architecture. Not just the signs and nudges out there in the world, but the really powerful one we build inside ourselves.
An internal one.
Exactly. This personal architecture, it's kind of crafted from our mental shortcuts, our feelings, our unique history, and all that determines how we see options, how we weigh outcomes, and, well, ultimately the paths we choose.
Okay, so a huge chunk of that internal architecture that's built from what psychologists call cognitive biases, right? And these aren't just like mistakes our brain makes. They're more like lightning fast mental shortcuts. Heuristics, I think is the technical term.
That's the one, heuristic.
Our brains use them for quick judgments. Saves energy, speeds things up, which is good sometimes, but in modern life, they can subtly sketch a reality for us that isn't quite complete.
Yeah, definitely.
A confirmation bias, that sneaky tendency we have to only look for or remember information that backs up what we already believe.
Right. And we actively filter out or just dismiss anything that challenges it. It's like our brain creates its own little echo chamber.
Totally. Makes us feel we're seeing the whole picture even when we're not.
And then you've got anchoring. That's where the very first piece of information you get, maybe a high starting price or the first number in a report.
Yeah.
It just disproportionately influences everything that comes after. Your whole perception gets skewed by that initial anchor.
Right. That first number really sticks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just lodges in your brain.
It does.
And that kind of leads into the availability heuristic, too. I mean, this is why seeing one vivid news report about, say, a plane crash makes flying feel way riskier than the drive to the airport.
Even though statistically...
Exactly. Statistically, the drive is usually riskier. But the crash is so vivid, so available in our minds, it just warps our judgment. My brain totally does that one shock story on the news, and suddenly I'm picturing Jaws every time I go near the beach.
Yeah, it's relatable. Those vivid examples are powerful.
So, okay, these biases, they give us a peek into our mental wiring. But what about gut feelings? It's not all cool, logical biases running the show, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. Emotions play a massive role, often honestly an underestimated role. And they aren't simply good or bad guides or hindrances. They're really complex signals.
Signal? How so?
Well, think about fear. It can protect us, right? Stop us from walking into danger. But it can also cause paralysis or like panic selling in the stock market when maybe you shouldn't. Excitement might signal a real opportunity. But unchecked greed, that can drive you to take way too much risk. The goal isn't really to eliminate emotion. You can't and wouldn't want to, but to understand its pull and, integrate it wisely.
Got it. And beyond just the emotions of the moment, our personal history, our past experiences, those create deep patterns too, right?
Definitely. Deeply ingrained patterns of choice. A past failure, maybe a bad investment, might make you overly cautious, even when a calculated risk actually makes sense now.
Or the opposite, right? A past success could lead to overconfidence.
Exactly. You try repeating the same strategy in totally different circumstances because it worked once before. These experiences, they become part of that internal architecture we talked about. They form habits, automate our responses without us even thinking.
Which I guess raises a pretty important question then. How do you, the listener, typically approach big decisions? Are you someone who satisfices or someone who maximizes?
Yeah, that's a key distinction. Satisficing it sounds technical, but it just means choosing the first option that meets your basic criteria, something that's good enough.
Okay.
It's generally more efficient, definitely less stressful, and funnily enough, often leads to people feeling more content with their choice later on.
And maximized.
Maximizing is the opposite. It's the drive to find the absolute best possible option out of all possibilities, which often means tons of research, maybe getting stuck, decision paralysis, and sometimes even regretting the choice because you keep thinking about the alternatives you didn't pick.
The what ifs. Okay, so satisficing versus maximizing. That's something to think about in yourself. So let's pull this together. What does this all mean for us? I think the real kicker with these invisible architects, the biases, the emotions, the past patterns, is that they operate largely unconsciously.
That's the core challenge.
Yeah, we often genuinely believe we're making perfectly rational choices, completely unaware of these forces quietly pulling the strings. Recognizing them, maybe trying to mitigate their impact, especially on the really big life choices, that seems crucial for Well, for getting better outcomes and feeling more in control.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, gaining more control really starts with self-reflection. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. Before you make a significant decision, just pause. Ask yourself, okay, what assumptions am I making here? Am I only looking for stuff that confirms what I already think? Or am I genuinely open?
Or asking, how am I feeling right now? Is this
Okay.
emotion actually helpful, or is it maybe clouding my judgment?
Exactly. And what past experiences might be nudging me one way or another. Actively seeking out information that challenges your initial view. That's huge. Considering more alternatives than just the first couple that pop into your head. Maybe grounding decisions in objective data where possible, especially for high-stakes stuff.
Developing that meta-awareness you mentioned, thinking about how you're thinking.
Precisely. Thinking about the thinking process itself and understanding your emotional state before you decide. If you're feeling really intense, maybe delay the decision if you can.
Right. So look, the goal here isn't to somehow eliminate biases or emotions. That's impossible, probably not even desirable. It's more about understanding their influence, right? Recognizing when they might be leading you astray, and then developing strategies to make more deliberate, more informed choices. Choices that actually align with your real long-term goals. By becoming more aware of these invisible architects working inside you, you really can take greater control over your decision-making. And by extension, start building the life and the future you actually want.
And maybe here's a final thought to leave you with, something to mull over after this deep dive. Think about one significant decision you've made recently. Can you perhaps identify which invisible architect, maybe it was confirmation bias, maybe anchoring, maybe a strong emotion or a past experience, which one might have subtly guided your choice? And what new understanding, if any, does that bring to light for you now?
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. It helps us reach more amazing people like you. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching.